Hello and welcome to the Seer 365 sessions. Every week, I'm very privileged to be able to have a conversation with somebody from the world that we live in, the Microsoft world, and really trying to bring some ideas to you that you can bring to your business, to your customers. And this week, I'm joined by somebody I've known literally from the beginning of my career. So from starting at Microsoft as a grad, I worked with this person from pretty much day one. So really excited to have him along. So without further ado, hello, Shailan Chudasama.
Hi, Richard. Thank you for that. And
No,
yes,
that's
we
right.
have known each other a long time.
We have, mate. Yeah. Well, yeah, we were just working out on this call that we've been doing in and around the Microsoft world for over 25 years now. So
Absolutely.
uh,
And it's been a
very,
pleasure working with you. We enjoyed
yeah.
it.
So
It
for those of you, yeah, thanks for the lie anyway. Um,
wasn't a
the
lie.
for those of you who don't know you, why don't you introduce yourself and Clearly Cloudy?
Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned about Microsoft, and that's a background in Microsoft. But no, clearly, Cloudy, we specialize in data and analytics because of our background in Microsoft Dynamics. We do a lot of data analytics in Microsoft Dynamics, but we are a Microsoft partner who specialize in data analytics. A lot of Azure, Power BI, etc.
Cool. So let's level set a little bit, right, to make sure we're all kind of going to be talking, and this whole conversation is going to be around BI and analytics. And I find this whole topic really interesting because having worked with customers for the last couple of decades, people get very excited about a new ERP or CRM system, spend for most companies, a new ERP system is one of the biggest investments they can make, right? So it's a big chunk of money, lots of visibility, lots of effort. But in effect, the value comes out of the stuff that you do, right? The data itself doesn't have that much value, right? The value is turning that data into insights to enable the organization to make better decisions, or at least that's my kind of take on things. So let's when we're talking about BI and analytics, what's kind of the broad sort of way that you would explain what we're talking about?
Absolutely, Richard, because when you say about value comes from that's the visible part,
Yeah.
right? Because there, with any application, especially ERP, there's the data entry part, looking at information, entering information, but it's when you marry that with other information you may have in your organization and other applications, when you can, let's say, have enable true insight, because your ERP system will have so much information and data, but then you combine it with HR, other CRM, maybe other applications, online applications, and that's when you can couple that data together to make true kind of decisions, because it will give you that view of how you're really performing as a business. So people talk about performance indicators, but to get a true measure of a performance indicator, you need to bring in data from a variety of different data sources. Um, so, but you are right. The visibility part is in the analysis, right? And it's when people talk about dashboards. So I want to see a dashboard. A dashboard is a report. It will show you information. It will show you more or less information. We have seen and absolutely implemented dashboards that have lots and lots of metrics, right? So lots of KPIs. But other dashboards we have seen, and I think these are very good as well, are exception dashboards. They
Mm.
don't really want to know about the good stuff, which is good, right? Just carry on. But what they like to know is where they're not performing. And when you look at where they may not be performing, that's something that they can do to address, so issues they may have, be it internal, external. But it's that visibility, though, Richard. You're right about that.
All right, cool. So obviously within, or not obviously, within Dynamics, there is a lot of reports. I can't remember how many is in finance supply chain management as an example, but lots. Um, and there's things like Power BI sort of plugins and ability to pull in. So just out of the box, there's a bunch of stuff. But so where do you work with customers? What's the value that you're bringing to that?
Yeah. No, good question. So, and there are lots of reports. Actually, counted them once. within,
Very
within,
broad. Yeah.
there are over 1,000 reports within Dynamics, but when you look at the reports within any ERP, so we're talking about Dynamics, but when you look at Dynamics or any ERP or any application, those are very much application specific. So in terms of the reports and dashboards you will have there, yes, fantastic in terms of transactional reporting, operational reporting, will show you customer summaries, balances, income statement, etc. Those are your kind of traditional standard reports. But most organizations, if not all organizations, don't just use a single, let's say, ERP application or a single application. They will have a lot of other applications. So a lot of our work is how do you extend that, right? So let's say our primary data source, because one of the, if the primary data source is Microsoft Dynamics, then there are certain limitations within Dynamics and reporting and dashboarding. Things like trending, it does give you trending information, but it may not give you the trending information that you actually need with all historical data. So if you want to actually look at trend over time of how something's performing, you may need to actually extract that data into more of a central environment. A central environment that, typically what we would do is extract the information into things like Azure. So using Azure Data Lake, we'd use, and we use Azure Data Warehousing, so Synapse. We use Azure, if they don't need a data lake, because that will give you structured and unstructured information. You can store both. But if they don't need that and they have a lot of, let's say, structured information, things like just Azure SQL. But it's using that Azure environment to kind of blend and merge information from a variety of different data sources. So data sources being Microsoft Dynamics to give your financial information, your sales information, your transactional information like project transactions, but then you may need to couple it with other information like CRM data. You may have another HR system, so things like success factors we do a lot of, we do Workday, and then those are online sources, and they may be using other different online sources as well. So we bring all of that data into a central environment. Sometimes as a hybrid approach, we just kind of model it, but then a lot of the times we bring it into a central environment, and then really analyze that data and provide kind of dashboards that not just operational kind of dashboards, but dashboards where they would see it as a business. I'll just give you a quick example, okay? Of one of a retail client that we work with, they have dashboards and they've actually got screens within their retail environments, as in their stores, and it shows them things like daily sales, weekly sales. So their KPIs are daily sales and weekly sales and how it's performing, OTIF. So it actually shows that. But all of the information wasn't just from Dynamics. They had to use other data sources. We bring that in. I'll give you another quick example, okay, of a Dynamics customer where they use Microsoft Dynamics F&O, they use Microsoft Dynamics CRM, but they have a lot of devices out there. So these are actual hygiene and cleaning devices, and they do a lot of work in the health space and NHS. So these devices actually have sensors. So we've actually brought that data in from those sensors into a central environment. So not only can they now see machine information from Dynamics, so the when it should be maintained, etc., but they also see the information from the actual sensors, and the reduction in terms of engineer time has been kind of significant for them, because before they wouldn't know when if a device needed something apart from relying on staff to tell them, but now they can actually see that, and so they can be proactive as well in terms of maintenance of these devices. So that's coupling together information which is structured, so things like Microsoft Dynamics, but IoT information coming through as well. By the way,
Yeah,
it all
and
into
I mean, you've definitely been an expert in this bit for a long time. But I always love the BI stories, because it really, for me, it really sparks that creativity, that imagination about what's possible. And you'd have thought that having I'm not sure this is exactly what you meant, but having some kind of soap dispenser. Is the soap dispenser, does it have stuff in it, or does it need to be replenished? And if it needs to be replenished, then go and replenish it, rather than doing it on a scheduled, every Monday replace it, or wait till somebody to complain there isn't soap to wash your hands. Right?
Yeah.
It's just a better experience for everybody, less waste. You're able to clean a floor quicker, all that sort of stuff. That for me, that's where I think the power of BI starts to really shine. It's not saying Shailan's the number one salesperson for the month. That sort of stuff is pretty basic, right? Whereas it's when you combine different things together. I've always found that really interesting. So from a next gen BI perspective, I didn't say I was going to talk to you about this, so sorry if I'm going off topic,
Right.
but
Yeah.
you know me well enough by now to put up with that. But I think one of the things that I'm really seeing Microsoft do a lot of at the moment is like the natural language stuff, and certainly ChatGPT being the very famous. Everybody's talking about it. They're doing every kid's homework is done by ChatGPT according to the Daily Mail. So what are you seeing as that kind of that next generation where you can actually have end users be able to do smart stuff rather than relying on the IT function to do that for them?
No, it's a good question as well. So on that, Richard, so things like natural language is been out for some time, but what we're really touching on here is the AI ML kind of learning capability. But as and they will be they are good, and they can only be as capable as the data you feed it. Right. So if there's one that skews out, then that's what it will pick up. It doesn't know that, so you have to look for those kind of anomalies. But things like natural query, we see that at the moment. From a Microsoft perspective, you talk about citizen development when it comes to Power Platform, and from a BI perspective, you talk about self-service BI. That's always been up there. But what we're actually finding now in the market is there are organizations, I'm talking about larger organizations like councils, defense, where we're not just producing all of their reports for them. We're actually producing a suite of reports, but we actually produce a data set for different areas or different roles. And they are actually producing their own reports. But what's happened over time is the tools have become a little bit more, let's say, friendlier. They have nice UIs where individuals can do that. But you talk about natural language. We actually have a good use case. We developed it and did something with the Cabinet Office. So every year, from a public sector perspective, they fill out an employee survey, and the employee survey, there are lots of questions, so structured questions. You rate it 1 to 5, etc. But then there are other questions where they can type in, what would you change? How would you make it better? What's your number one? Is it about pay? Is it reward? Is it the workplace? And what we found was they actually categorized, and they used to, the Cabinet Office actually categorized these into different themes. And their number one was pay and reward. Right? And when we actually applied some natural language to it, using some scripts and Python and putting it into that, and actually kind of displaying that and visualizing it with Power BI, the number one theme was about work-life balance rather than just pay and reward. And then when you drill into it, it actually showed the questions as well. So we've done things around kind of natural language and query there to pick it up.
Very cool.
What it would look at there was, their responses. It looked for words, and it picked up those words. So it may be because what they were finding is, it just says pay, 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 but they didn't say that it wouldn't look at you better to have more flexible working, or finish early on a Friday, or that's what this picked up.
Very cool. Well, I know somebody works with them, so I'll double check your work on that one. But
do that.
yeah, no, that'd be cool. All right, so for the customers and partners that were listening in or watching in today, what would you say would be your tips? Clearly, you've been doing this an awfully long time, and you've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly when it comes to these sort of projects. What would be your top tips that you would give to them when embarking on a BI, or I should say a data and AI type project?
Sure. Okay. Yeah. No, it's good. So if we relate it back to Dynamics, first of all, if it's, if you're looking at Dynamics, if you're implementing Dynamics or just implemented Dynamics, definitely look at the reports out of the box. There are many Power BI reports and dashboards. Look at those and start using those as well. When you start, but from an organizational perspective, look at other data sources you may want to bring in that actually add value. But you always start with, what's the question you're trying to answer? So is it, if your question is customer satisfaction, we want to know about customer satisfaction, how do we improve it? If all of your data is in Dynamics, great, you can do that within Dynamics. However, it probably isn't. When it comes to customer satisfaction, you'd have other surveys and you look at external feeds. So
Even things like SurveyMonkey or whatever. Just
exactly that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But then you can look at other things like tweets. Yeah, you can look at, as someone put something on LinkedIn, you can look at other things where they've tagged something like product or company. So I'd say that top tips would be explore what's out of the box. If you're looking to extend it, which most organizations will, then look at where those data sources are, because we'd ask these questions, during kind of discovery, where those data sources are. But then think about the questions you're trying to address. Don't worry too much about the visuals. A lot of people think, oh, I'd like a dashboard that does this. We and a lot of partners in this space around data and analytics, we have experience of what may work, what may not work. So when people first start out in data analytics, they produce lots of tables and go, oh, create tables and let's have figures there. But you may want to blend that with other visuals. And people normally ask us, how do you know what's a good visual? Why would you use this? Well, we've been doing this a long time. Yep. We kind of know what works. We know how people interact with dashboards, where they move across the screen, what those prominent numbers should be, when they click on a button to navigate to something else, when you need a tooltip or a drill down. We understand that. So don't focus too much on that part. Focus more about the business questions that you're looking to address and your different kind of data sets and data sources where they're coming from.
Very cool. All right, that's really good. Yeah. All right, cool. So thank you, Shailan, for spending some time with us. I've enjoyed talking to you for the last couple of decades, so I'm hoping other people have enjoyed today as much as I have. If somebody wants to get hold of Clearly Cloudy, we had some comments. Paris. Hello, Paris.
Okay, and I can't see the comments.
Elvis as well. Thanks for your comments. There you go. Apparently, Paris thinks we've got an incredibly interesting topic.
Oh, definitely, brilliant! Thanks, Paris.
Yeah, definitely your bit. It's not mine, but yeah. But yeah. So if you want to get hold of Shailan and the team at Clearly Cloudy, clearly, Alan was a
that works. Yeah,
that works. I recommend you do. I know they're very partner friendly, so. And certainly in previous lives, I've worked with Shailan and the team as well. So if you are a Dynamics partner and looking to sort of boost your BI capability, or maybe you don't have one and you'd like to have one, then absolutely give Shailan and the guys a call. So with that, I just want to thank everybody for joining us today. And Shailan, thanks again for your time. As ever, really great to see you. And I hope everybody has a great rest of your week. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Richard, and thank you all.